Hi, I'm Darren. Welcome back to Review Rendezvous. Today, in this episode, I'm going to just grab it here. Review a drywall sander from its Pro Tool Solutions (PTS). It needs a shop vac, so I'm going to have to go and get one of those. But in this room, I've been building kind of a workshop area so that I have room for my CO2 cutter and stuff. I know it's difficult to see, but back here, somebody has graciously vandalized the wall for me. As I was saying, somebody went and vandalized the wall for us. So we have something to sand off. Now, it's not drywall, obviously. It's spruce plywood, I believe. So we'll crack this open and sand this off. Let me do a quick unboxing for you. All right, let's crack into the box here. All right, what do you see here? Carry bag. Nice label on it. PTS for Pro Tool Solution. Pretty thin, but a functional bag. Just, you can feel that it's very thin material, but the hose. Typical kind of dipped work gloves, the rubber dip. They're a large fit. I have a tiny bit of room in here, but they fit me. I've got kind of medium-ish hands. All right, I'm assuming this is a collection bag, or at least some kind of filter. Hose adapters, some tools, screwdrivers, Allen keys, safety glasses. Very good. I'm sure we'll consider safety at some point. The unit, extension rod. Here's the unit. That's actually a bigger disc than I thought it was going to be. That's good. Different discs. 2 stacks of 240, 180, 150, 120, 80, and 60. Okay, great. It's enough pads to get started. Does it say what size these are? 8-inch. Let's crack this open. All right. It just folds up, locks down. That's kind of weighty. It's a little bit heavy. Looks like LEDs surrounding here, like a light all the way around. 360 LEDs. All right. Good looking motor. It's a 110, 120, 60 hertz, 1000 to 2100 RPM. Oh, 214 millimeter. I'm assuming that's what these are. And a place for the extension rod here. It says max 1.65 meters here on it. Max 1.65 meters out. This has like a bicycle seat, quick clamp lock on it. Nice and easy. This has got a good length of a cord on it. Nice and thick. Oh my goodness. Oh, really? You're supposed to... Yeah, right. That's heavy. Okay, it's not necessarily a safety switch, but it's a trigger lock so that you can push it, lock the trigger on, and then you don't have to hang on to it from here, thank goodness, because that's a leverage thing. But then I can grab it here and maybe still control it here. I don't know. So trigger lock, fine. It's still long and heavy. On-off switch here. I'm assuming that's a speed. It looks like there's a little volume and it goes up to 5, from 1 to 5. So 1000, 2100 RPM. I'm going to probably keep it on 3 for a moment-ish. Go ahead and say that the vacuum hoses and everything goes in the end here, or potentially this bag. Let me look at a few things. We'll get it all set up, and then we'll just try to take some graffiti off and see what happens. There shouldn't be too much magic involved. With these close proximities, though, I'm probably not going to need the extension bar on it for now. I'll just use it like this. It's a little bit more manageable. It's still pretty weighty, though. Like, if I had to do this all day, man, my arms would just be huge. Okay, let's get set up. Okay, what I just found out was, I don't think it matters what adapter I try to use with this. These hoses are just completely incompatible So it's not that you don't hook up a vacuum to the system. You just don't hook up a like shop vac name brand shop vac hose. They're just way too big. Potentially in the future, I'll just 3D print an adapter down to at least fit one of these more snug adapters, which will fit the hose, etc. But I think what I learned is you just put the dust bag on. So I went driving in a snowstorm for nothing to get a shop vac. 60 grit is pretty aggressive. Let's do the 80 grit. Okay. So I'm gonna line up the holes with the holes on the disc here. Sticky stuck. Okay. Let's get this done and plugged in and see what we can take off the wall. Okay, I wasn't quite, I don't know, didn't know what I was expecting, but circulates. That was on speed 3. Let's keep it on there and see what happens. Oh, you know what I'll do is I'll take a picture with my phone so that I can show you guys what that looks like as kind of a before and after. Okay, let's go for the subscribe here. Winding up. Winding down. Hose in one end. Oh, I almost had it. There, oh, get in there. Okay. One hose. Dust bag. These ends. A little tricky to get in. Okay. Click. And they want you to carry it around with you. Fine. Let's go over the shoulder. I'll put some music on. Starting about now. Okay, that took a little longer than I expected. I don't know if you saw in the video. Oh, I wonder if this is for the light. Ah, oh my goodness. It was jittering all over the place. I had to crank it up to 5 just to try to keep that under control a little bit. I'm not sure if my technique is bad or... Most of it is just right in the center. I wasn't using like the full disc. So they said something about a spacer or put 2 of them on, or I don't know what they said in the... Now, I do see dust in the holes. I don't see a lot of dust in the air. Let's go after the review Rendezvous graffiti and see how long that takes. All right, cue the music. Turn the light on this time. jammed it. Man, I really had to manhandle this thing. Oh my goodness. It's there. Okay. I was able to start using a lot more of the disc, but whew, that's kind of a workout. This, not only is this, it's not light. Now it's not light, but it's a beast. When it's dancing around the center, the whole thing wants to just wobble. You have to twist it and torque it over to one side, and then it ground in, and you can hear the motor kind of grinding down a little bit. But that was a lot of work to hold this thing up and twist it and then force it in sort of directions it may not want to go. Now, granted, this isn't drywall, but I mean, it's the same concept, right? So that is very smooth. And I mean, it took, once I started torquing it, I'm not feared of getting a sliver now. The sign is all but gone, just a couple little tiny spots left. It's really smooth. Once I really dug into it, it definitely started to work, but I really needed to start to work. I don't feel much dust in the bag, but again, there's not a lot of dust in the air. I saw some dust flaring up around the unit. Most of it must have been trapped because there was a lot of wood taken off. That was a lot of effort. It worked pretty well. It's heavy, kind of like it. The reason why I have it is because of the unfinished basement. I was just doing the workshop just to be able to set up some other things so that we can continue, but I need to finish the rest of the basement outside this room, and there's a lot of drywalling to do. But it was kind of a beast. They said something about, maybe it's not the regulation valve, there was a way to adjust something. So I did find a place in here where it says that, you know, the height will gradually decrease over time, etc., and you can use a metal gasket to raise the head of the sanding disc. But it's not that the head of the sanding disc was too low, it's just the center of it made most of the contact, which made it wobble around like a top because it was an unstable point. You have to really torque it over for it to work really, really well. And it did work really, really well once I kind of figured out the sweet spot. And it worked better torquing it to the left than it did to the right for some reason. There's other positions that when there's a spring to put it into the position for sealing, you hook the spring up here on the head so you can put it into sealing mode. Let me see if I can do that real quick. There, like that. So you can keep it in that position with the spring so that it stays in the more of the horizontal position while you work overhead. Otherwise it flops around, and it still is springy for contour, so that's a good position, but otherwise it flops. What are my thoughts for this one? Final thoughts. It's heavy. It's, for some reason, the way that it only contacted the center made it pretty difficult to really use it. The fact that it's heavy and that I had to like torque it over. Other than that, once I got it into the position that I needed to use the sandpaper part, like most of the disc on this side, not just in the center. Once that happened, it worked well. I didn't get a lot of dust in the room. There was a little bit sneaking out of some, you know, some of the little areas in the bristles, but I wasn't sure. I don't know if, was I getting too much friction? There's a little opening here, kind of like in your vacuum cleaners. Let me just try this real quick. So, didn't make much of a difference. that dancing around makes it very difficult to kind of use. For what that sanding disc is, I would have expected more taken off if I didn't have to fight it, I guess, so much. So that's kind of my main problem with it right now is that it's a beast, and I don't have experience with these things, but is it supposed to be that difficult? I thought this was supposed to make your life easier. I might as well use a belt sander and just hold it on the wall, right, on a stick. To me, that's kind of the negatives. It comes with some good accessories. I can't use a shop vac, unfortunately. It has to be like a regular smaller hose vacuum. I don't want to clog up our brand new central vac, but that would constitute a regular vacuum. So maybe I can hook up the central vac to it. But the dust bag worked fine. You don't need a vacuum connected to it, which is actually pretty good. It makes it a lot more portable that way. It does have a long enough cord. There's a few other positives there of being fairly portable so that you're not stopping and maneuvering other equipment around like a shop vac and dragging that around with you. You can just use it on its own. The extension was good. I did figure that out, that it goes much further into the handle, and you actually must have this attachment on because it's the piece that has the hose attachment at the end. So you actually have to have this whole extra piece from about here up just to make sure that you can attach any kind of hose, especially this hose, which is fine, but I didn't use that handle at all. Maybe if I had it extended up into a ceiling scenario and maybe had this pulled out, that maybe I would use this handle part, but just to have it attached, just to have the hose on it, I didn't use it. So that kind of adds a little extra weight, I guess, on an already heavy little unit. What would I rate this? This is probably, like, unfortunately getting closer to like a 3.5 star because of the other negatives, that it doesn't connect to like a regular size shop vac, although you don't need that at all. What if I had a bagged shop vac that, you know, had a really long hose? Anyway, like that's just kind of an option, that they didn't have an adapter of the two adapters to upsize to a larger hose that way. It's a little bit heavy. If I had to do this for like 10 to 12 hours in a day to try to get you know, a house done or wherever, I might quit because I wouldn't be a drywaller, I don't think. Now, how many swipes? Maybe I could have taken like a normal drywall finishing sandpaper block and tried to do, you know, it really only took me a few minutes to take down wood, you know, a harder wood. It's not pine. I mean, like I said, it's spruce, but this is really smooth. To get like a normal raspy drywall sanding block, this would have probably broke my arms too. So there is trade-off there, I guess. It's about finding the sweet spot with it, which is another negative. Like the whole pad, that maybe it could have used more foam around the outsides of the pads or something of the disc, the sanding disc, but it's just that the center of it makes the most contact, and maybe that should have been thicker padding there so that the whole pad, you know, made contact at the same time. But the fact is that it has a small center point that just dances around, and it's difficult. And that's why I said you have to find that sweet spot when you have to like torque it one way and then running it down the wall. I don't know if you saw my struggles. I really am fighting this thing to try to just go straight up and down the lines without erasing all of my stud lines here. So it was kind of a beast to control that. So 3.5 stars probably. I would round that up to 4 stars in the grand scheme of things, simply because I can't give fractions of that anyway as a rating. Again, this is for an Amazon review, so 3.5 star, solid 3.5 star. But again, it's a struggle. It's a beast to kind of use that. Unfortunately, the unit is just a little top heavy that way. It's a good unit though. Once it started working, once I torqued it and it started working, I guess that's, you know, that's where most of that stars come from. Its intended use actually did get the job done of there's no more graffiti. You couldn't tell that I had written anything on the walls. Unfortunately, I really liked that review Rendezvous. I might put that back up. So anyway, there it is. Thank you for joining me for another review, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.